Hello, I'm Jeanie and I teach Pilates for the YMCA of Southern Maine. If you're here with me today, we're going to do a level 1-2 combination of the original set of mat exercises. It's a repertoire that was designed to be taught from beginning to end in order for the most part. And that's what you're going to have today. So let's start by standing. I want you to look down at your feet just for a brief minute and make sure that your feet are lined up, right? Toes in the same space as the other toes, and that your feet are directly underneath your hips. Not this, but your hip bones. Yeah. And you have knees that are soft in a neutral position, pelvis in a neutral position, with your tail slightly reaching down towards the floor so that gives you automatically a connection to your abdomen. And find those feet rooted in the floor so that you are grounded from your feet for a stable base. As we inhale up and exhale down, let's breathe wide, right? We're going to expand our reach and take up all the space in the room with that reach. And then inhale again, reach up and stretch and lift your whole chest, not just your shoulders. And then as you sweep your arms out to the side, continue to breathe, whichever direction you're breathing, and then allow the arms to soften and float as they come to your side. One more like that. Big inhale up, exhale to finish raising the arms up so that now you can inhale here and lift your whole spine and then stretch wide, gathering up all the space in the room, allowing the arms to float to your side, and then softly nod your chin to your chest and find the weight shift that allows your arms to hang, allows your head to hang, and roll yourself down all the way to the floor. Bend your knees if you need to. Your fingertips don't have to touch, but that's a bonus if they can. Take an inhale here and find those roots into your feet and press down with your feet so you can lift up from your belly, right? And allow the arms then to just fall softly into place. The shoulders always arrive before the head. Take a big inhale here. Exhale one more like that before we add on. Weight shifting to the front of the feet, but keep the heels connected to the floor. Round forward, heavy arms, heavy head. Soften your knees if you need to. Take a big inhale here. Exhale, press the feet down and lift up from the belly. This time, allow your arms to continue flowing as they reach up. And then last time, over, around, and wide, softly coming to your sides, and we're ready to come to the floor. So you can get down on the floor however you like. In my class, have been practicing crossing our feet and I dream of Jeanie, no relation, our arms, and lowering ourselves down to the floor using the opposition of the arms against the direction of the belly. And we sit tall on those sitting bones, right? Look at your feet. Make sure that they are parallel to each other. Make sure that they are in line with your knees and still in line with your hips. And then press your heels down. It's a little hard here to press your toes down, but press your heels down and then bring your hands behind your thighs and find a way to lift your whole rib cage while at the same time you have your pelvis anchored to the floor. Take a big inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to start at the base of the spine to roll back from the base, not leaning from the shoulders, but rolling back from the base of your spine until your arms are long and extended. I'm still holding on. Take a big inhale here. On the exhale, I'm thinking about rolling forward from the crown of my head, bringing my nose to my knees, if that's possible for me, and then lifting up not just from the head, but from the whole front of your chest, staying vertical, but taking the upper body into a small back extension. So try not to just throw your head back there, but really feel like you're lifting your rib cage. And then uproot yourself back to vertical and do that again one more time. So starting now from the base of the spine to round back, tipping the pelvis, tail comes up a little bit, belly pulls back, arms reach away, pause here, take an inhale, and then exhale, stay round through your spine as you bring the crown of your head as close as you can to your knees. Stack up one more time, lifting your chest. I have slightly lifted elbows. Taking back extension now from the top of the spine, we're moving. Bring that back to the center. And we're going to roll all the way down this time, rounding your back from the bottom to the top of the spine, allowing each little vertebra to come to the floor when that place is turned. So I'm going to pull my feet up a little bit so that I can continue to hold on as I land softly on the mat. So moving the hair out from underneath, and I want you to find your connection to the floor. So I'm thinking about moving my heels a little closer to my sits bones so I can engage that connection. The sitting bones are trying to reach towards the heels, and the heels are trying to reach towards the sitting bones, activating the back of your thighs. I'm going to windshield wiper my feet away from that center place. And I'm going to allow my knees to just fall over to one side. I find a little stretch in the side of my body. And I'm going to take an inhale here. And on the exhale, I'm going to scoop deep into my belly to come to the center of my body and bring my legs back. Inhale to prepare. Exhale to float. Now I feel the stretch here. And I know that this is off the floor down to my hips. So I'm going to start by bringing the ribs down, closing them, collecting them, bringing the waist down, bringing the pelvis back to neutral. One more like that on each side. Inhale to float. It's kind of like a flop. Yeah, we don't flop a lot in Pilates, but we can flop right there. Exhale, scoop the belly, bring it back to center. Inhale to float. And then exhale to scoop from the middle of the body. The legs should do absolutely not a lot of work. And I'm going to bring my feet back together. That was that little windshield wiper thing. And I'll leave them on the floor as I slide my legs and flop my knees. And then pull it all back together. I'm going to slide my legs past each other so the sole of my outside foot stays on the floor. And then scoop it and bring it back together. There's a level 1 for that spinal mobilization. Level 2 would be to do the same thing, but not leaving the outside foot on the floor. Pick it up. You'll find a bigger stretch. Yeah. And then scoop and lower all this down to the floor. That came from my center. It came from my abdomen. Floating over to the other side, outside foot is off the floor. That is the difference. And then scoop that and bring it back. The last piece here is a little more difficult. So be sure that you can do this without hurting yourself. If it's too much, go back to where you were comfortable. Legs are in tabletop, 90 degrees, shins parallel to the floor. Legs are Velcroed together. This time I'm going to think about lifting my pelvis and the knees go over to the side. A lot more work, bring it back with control. So my arms and my shoulders now have joined the chorus, right, of keeping the upper body stable to allow the lower body to rotate. And please don't go all the way to the floor. You'll find it really hard to bring your legs back up. So just go back and forth. If you're at this level today, in a range of motion that works for you and doesn't create discomfort or pain. So mobilizing the spine. Bring it back. Make sure you're resting on both sides of your derriere. One foot comes down, then the other. That's what's safest for your back. And I'm going to bring my hands behind my head and allow the base of my skull to be cradled in both of those hands. And I have them stacked. You can interlace your fingers, but it's a personal preference. And on the inhale, I prepare. I lift the elbows up just a little bit. And on the exhale, I'm going to close my high ribs. That's how I lift. I'm not lifting from my arms or yanking from my neck and my head. I'm lifting from the center. The second guiding principle of Pilates is centering. First is breathing. So I'm inhaling and I'm exhaling and collecting myself to the center to lift my head, neck, and shoulders up. My neck should have no tension. It should feel soft. And I'm going to roll back down. One more time. Take an inhale to prepare. Exhale to curl up. Settle down in your abdomen and your rib cage. Press those to the floor for your connection. And then push off your right shoulder to rotate to the left. Come back to the center. Make sure you're in the center of your body. Push off the left shoulder to come to the right. Roll back to the center. Roll your head down. If that was too much, just watch. Yeah. Take an inhale to prepare, elbows slightly lifted. Exhale to curl up again from the closure of the ribs and not pulling on your neck. I'm going to push off my left shoulder this time to rotate to the right. Come back across the center of my shoulder blades. Push off the right blade to come to the left, waking up the obliques. Come back to the center. Roll back down. All right, last thing before the jacket comes off, I'm going to do one more chest lift, and I'm releasing my hands to hold the back of my legs. So I'm preparing on the inhale, slight lift in the elbows. Exhale to curl up, and I release one hand at a time to bring them behind my thighs. And all I'm going to do here as I lift my elbows up is to try to collect and close my high abs a little bit more so that I'm lifted up. Feet are going to stay on the floor for the 100 for just a short amount of time. I'm going to inhale here, reaching armpits to waist. And on short staccato breaths, I breathe in 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the 100 can be done. Feet on the floor, head down, right? Legs in tabletop. They're actively squeezing. Or legs long, vertical, not my preference, a little bit of diagonal. Squeeze the heels, wrap the upper outer thighs, keep beating and keep breathing. Two more sets. Now with control, right? The exercise hasn't stopped yet. I'm going to pull my knees into my chest. I'm going to hold on to that abdominal connection I have to the back of through my back to the floor. Lower my head and neck and give myself a little release before I sit up for roll up. So from here, you can roll to one side and sit up. That's a nice way to transition. I do work transitions as much as possible. Those are the threads that keep the work together. So we're going to start on roll up, but we're going to start from the rolling down. So I have my hands underneath my thighs. I'm going to take an inhale to lift my spine and engage my abdomen. And it's like what we just did. I'm going to roll back from the base of the spine, tapping each little section, one above the other to the floor, straightening my legs. This is a modification, right? Arms come up and over. If you need to sweep your arms around and gather yourself up before extending your legs, that's a nice modification for roll-up. So I'm not going to do that piece anymore. So I'm going to roll back down. Arms come up and over. It's not necessary to sweep, but it's not terribly wrong if you do. Inhale to begin the lift. Exhale to finish. And I'm taking my time in my reach forward, paying attention to how prepared the back of my body is for that reach. Rolling back. Exhale. So I'm trying to peel my spine off the floor in the same manner that, or reverse order, I should say, that I place each vertebra down here, right? High pelvis, waist, bottom ribs, upper ribs, shoulders, head comes down, arm comes up. Begin on the inhale, peel your spine, reach forward, rolling back, drop your shoulders, widen your collarbones. Let's do one more. So we only do 5 in my class typically of most exercises because quantity never replaces quality. So if I start out a little rough on the first one, I'm hoping that by the time I get to the 5th one, I've been able to use all the tools that I have and know how to control the motions. All right, so single leg circle is next. I'm going to start with the most fundamental way, with one leg slightly bent, other leg comes up in the air for a stretch. So put your hands wherever works for you, just not on the back of your knee. Yeah, and let's point and flex. It's always good to stretch a little bit. Circle around, circle the other way. And if you leave this bent knee here, that's okay, your circle will be smaller. So I'm going to go 1 in across the midline direction, 2, pressing this foot down on the floor, 3, 4, last one for 5, same leg goes the other way. Inhale away, exhale down. I'm going to extend my leg. You don't have to do that. You're looking for pelvic stability, right? You want your pelvis to be stable. 5 circles away from midline. Pull your knee into your chest, lift your elbows up. Feel how underneath your thigh gets wider. Remember how that is. Stretch your leg out. Pick your leg up. Stretch. Flex. Circle. Circle the other way. Leave the leg vertical. Arms become part of your stabilizer. Small external rotation, that wrapping at the hip. Inhale, exhale, 2. If your pelvis is wonky all over the place, make your circles smaller. Use your abdomen more. Same leg, other direction. Inhale, exhale, 1. Inhale, exhale, 2. Out, down, and around. 2 more. Last one. Pull that knee into my chest. I'm going to add the other one. So the next transition is not necessarily technically correct, but it's kind of fun, right? I'm going to rock myself up for rolling like a ball. So it is as its name. I'm going to scoot my derriere closer to my heels. I'm going to wrap myself up in a tight little ball. If that doesn't work for you, put your hands under the crease of your knees, elbows high. Inhale, roll back. Exhale, come up. Try not to land your head, right? Inhale, exhale. Because if you're landing your head, you're landing on your neck. That's not a good thing. Inhale, exhale. One more for 5. Inhale, exhale. Stretching my legs out. I'm going to take a stretch here. And I'm going to prepare for the ab series. So I'm going to take this leg up in the tabletop position, extending my outside hand to my ankle. This leg comes to the working position. So I inhale and switch. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale. Inhale. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale. I can do the same thing with head down, right? If you're new, you want to be able to be successful. So do the legs, do the arms, but leave your head down. But don't lose your tummy, right? Inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale. Pause, bring your legs together in tabletop, and let your hands rest lightly on the top of your shins. My head is still up. You can put yours down. So in opposite directions, I lengthen the arms overhead and the legs away. both in diagonals. Press the legs into the hands and the hands into the legs. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. We have two more. Scoop your belly. Bring your ribs to the floor. Hold up there with the abdominal strength that you're getting by taking Pilates. Open, close, roll your head down. So the original repertoire only consists of the first two of the series of 5. So we're going to be classical, more classical today than that. We're going to stop right there. So I'm going to put my feet down. I'm going to raise my arms up. I'm choosing for my transition a round back roll up. We've done a couple of those this morning. You can roll to one side and sit up. Spine stretch forward is next. So my legs are as wide as my mat. They're pressing down into the floor. We'll start with the most fundamental, which is hands on the imaginary table. And I'm going to round down, right, trying to get the crown of my head to the floor. My arms are on that imaginary table and they slide away. Inhale here. Exhale to come back. Make sure your shoulders are wide and dropped before your head arrives. Take an inhale here. Exhale forward. You can inhale to come back. You don't have to segment your breath. I just think you have to keep breathing, right? No holding your breath. Reach. And from your belly, pull your upper body back. Let's do 2 more for 5. Quality of work is so much more important than quantity. Inhale, back to stack. Last one. Exhale. And one of these days, I'm going to get the crown of my head to the floor. I'm an optimist. And bring it back. Bring your hands down to your sides. We are going to do open leg rocker. It's a little bit more of an advanced exercise. So either watch if you're new or give it a try. So hands behind your back. Heels reach towards sitting bones. And I move the sitting bones towards the heels. That allows me to rest on my sacrum. Hands are going to come inside my legs and I'm going to stretch them up. Now, you can just sort of do one at a time, leave one down, stretch one leg. That's a nice prep, right? But the goal is to be able to support your legs where it works best for you. My arms are too short to hold over there. Inhale, roll back. Exhale, come up. Shoulder blades down when you come up. Actively try to draw your shoulder blades down now. Ooh, if you go too far, that's mean you did a good job. Yeah, you have good momentum. And then we have one more. Corkscrew would be next, but we're just going to lie down from the position. Corkscrew is a more advanced exercise. So I brought my legs together, and from my abdomen, I'm lowering myself down to the floor. I'm going to pull my knees into my chest. So without doing the corkscrew, let's sit up again. I'll do a little roll up to come up. We're going to sit up for song. So now your legs are wider than your mat. They're still working themselves, connecting to the floor. If I put my hands out here and press, I'm going to feel like my legs are trying to move. They're just not going to go anywhere. Arms are out to the side. Drop your shoulders. Close your high ribs. Palms are down. Take an inhale to rotate. And then on the exhale, you're trying to dive. So I'm trying to bring the crown of my head to the top of my knee. And my fingertips are trying to reach past my toes. Lifting up. Rotate. If you need a modification, bring this hand down. Press it into the floor. And then try your reach. And I am pulsing the 3 little pulses that make this exercise the saw. That may be too much for you, so don't do it. Just reach. And if you can't reach, press. Lift. Rotate. Reach. Bottom hand, outside hand. Palm is up. Reaching for midline. Trying to find my spine. Lift. Inhale. Exhale. Lift, rotate. Your pelvis is Velcro to the floor. It doesn't change for any reason. Press your arms down to the side. Gather your legs together, swivel on your hip, and pull your knees into your chest to roll onto your tummy to transition for swan. So to begin, I'm just going to rest my head on top of my hands. And I'm going to think about the connection I have, my body has to the floor. So I want to be as wide and open in my crease of my hips. So I'm just going to do a little stretching away to bring the eyes of my hips closer to the floor. Inner upper thighs roll towards each other and down towards the floor. That's a wrap from the back, a wrap from the front of this area. My pubic bone came to the floor. I'm stabilizing through my pelvis. So swan should be hands under shoulders. And I lift my gaze, follow my gaze across the floor and look up the wall. This is as high as I can get my whole body up with my hands there. And now I'm going to roll down. So I'm modifying now so that I can get a better back extension. I bring my arms a little bit forward, nodded my head down. I nod my head up and follow the gaze across the floor, up the door that I have in front of me. And oh, voila, I have a swan position with my arms extended. But my back is not hurting. Lift the elbows, reach to your sternum. Try to stretch your sternum to your hands. Lower down. Let's talk about that tail on the next one. So you find where your hands are best for you. As you lift up, your tail has to keep reaching towards the floor. So your belly must stay plugged in. Yeah, it's pulling back away from the floor. Lower down, reaching through the whole spine, sternum leading to bring the upper body to the floor. That's a very fundamental swan. There are many more variations. So then I'm going to take my arms and stretch them way out in front. If my legs are a little bit apart, it doesn't bother my back to bring them together. I'm going to do that. And then from my elbows to my ribs, I'm going to drag my elbows towards my ribs, like it's like a traction action. And I end up on my forearms, elbows and hands and forearm bones pressing into the floor. I can stay in this Sphinx position, or I can wrap one fist around the other. That's just a personal choice. Now I'm going to think about the lower part of my body. I'm still wrapping inwardly at the back of my thighs, outwardly at the front of my thighs. I have a lot of activity in my legs. I'm going to hover them from the knees, come up and kick, and switch. So just this action of bringing your heel to your sitting bones stretches the front of your thigh. So if that's too much stretch for you, don't lift your foot up as high. Yeah, and there's tempo. Work in the hamstrings. Pause, lower your legs, keep lifting your chest. Release your arms and lower yourself down, placing one side of your face on the floor. And then bring your hands around so your index fingers rest on your back. So this is a more advanced exercise, so please be mindful of that. I'm going to bring my legs together. I've draped my elbows over my waist in the back. And your face is down on the floor. If I do that, you don't hear me well. So I'm going to bend my knees and flex my feet. And I'm going to reestablish the connection I have in my pelvis to the floor. And then I'm going to move my heels to my sitting bones without rocking my body. Yeah? And then extend arms, extend legs, lift from your back, rotate your head, bring your hands back, bend your knees and flex your feet. Again, without rocking my body. 1, 2, 3. Lift and stretch. You can let go of your hands if your shoulders don't allow you to hold your fingers back here. And then bend and flex, kick, 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 stretch and lift, rotate. Last one, bend, flex, kick, 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 reach, rotate. Hands to the floor, pull your belly in and lift your chest so you can press yourself back into your child's pose. This is not part of the real repertoire, but it is a nice place after that prone work to stretch your lower back. Prone position is something we don't do often enough, I think, in our lives. And it's so beneficial for you to be on your tummy on a hard surface, right? All right, so we're going to prepare now as you're breathing into your back space. We're going to prepare for neck pull, to which I'm going to offer a number of modifications. So find a way to lengthen your body. I go to the side of my mat, roll over onto your back, and here we go. So this is a difficult exercise. You can watch or you can check it out. So I'm going to set my legs up. They are squeezing together and I'm pressing my heels down into the floor. And I'm bringing my hands behind my head once again. I'm going to use that for a little sense of traction and my elbows are up a little bit. So I prepare here on the inhale. On the exhale, I close my ribs and scoop my belly, bringing my upper body up. It's super hard with your hands behind your head. Yeah, so bring your nose to your knees, elbows are wide. I haven't lost the tractioning. I'm thinking through the back of my neck, and it's gentle. From here, I flat back, hinge. Now from the base of my spine, I'm going to roll down. That's my dog scratching. Sorry. Rolling down with control, landing the head last. Take an inhale to prepare. So if that was too hard, as you come up, use your arms for momentum and then bring them to the back of your head right away. Bring your nose to your knees. Stack up to the vertical. From your pelvis, hinge from your hips. And then round at the base of the spine. You can close your elbows a little bit. That helps to roll down round. One more. We only do 3 of neck pull. Inhale, exhale, up. The breath is there to help. Keep breathing, nose to knees, stack, hinge, that's a flat back, round the spine, rolling down, neck pull. All right, so we're going to skip scissors and bicycle, and we're going to go right to bridge, right? Bridge is next, so I'm going to stay here, bring my heels to my sitting bones, depending on how much you can flex your knees, right? So heels to sitting bones. Together is best. That may be too hard because it is the hardest position. So if you're together, make that the power of one leg. Arms are at your sides. My collarbones are reaching wide so I can connect my shoulder blades ever so gently in the back and bring them to the floor. On the exhale, I'm going to press down through my feet. And I can either flat back up or I can curl up. We're just going to do a basic bridge today, no choreography. Those of you that are watching, if you know the choreography, go for that. Please take an inhale here. On the exhale now, whatever's off the floor last has to come down to the floor first. So I'm closing my ribs, I'm knitting them from the top towards my belly button. And as I'm doing that, the bones in the back come to the floor. Lower back lands, pelvis lands, then I release the hip curl, right? The hip flexion. Inhale, pelvis, rolling back, lifting up. So a flat back is going to be easier if you have some back issues. So just know that. Take an inhale here, exhale. Instead of rolling down, you can also lower the body as one piece. That's nice for those that have lots of back trouble. Inhale here, last one. Exhale, I'm going to curl up. I'm going to reach to the top of my thighs. They are stretching out all the energy out my knees. And I'm trying to close this little rib area so that it's just a slight bit lower than my pelvis. Just a little bit. Wide shoulders. Inhale, exhale, roll down. and that's bridge. So we're also skipping, I'm going to roll to one side. So we're also skipping jackknife. It's a little too advanced for today. So we move to sidekick. So on your sides, yeah. Transition down. We'll start with the arm out. Palm can be up or down. Your head is resting on your arm. Try not to be here. Try to be here. Shoulders, head, shoulders, hips, all in line. For more support on sidekick, I'm going to leave my bottom leg bent and on the floor and extend my top leg and reach out through my waist. And when I do that, there's a little tiny lift here. I'd like you to see if you can maintain that. Flex your foot. Inhale forward and kick. Exhale, come to the back. This is sidekick. In, out. You can add 2 pulses. Sweep around, add the pulses. Not important, right? The important part is to stabilize the body so that the leg can just have a good time feeling free and loose and light. So there are a lot of other things we do here on our sides. I'm going to rest my legs for a second. You could have done that with your head up, right? I'm going to leave my head up. Leave your head down if you're new. And then I'm going to take this top leg again and extend it, reaching through my waist, a small external rotation here so that I point up and flex down with control, right? So when your leg goes up, your ribs are likely to connect more to the floor. Yeah, they don't have to be off the floor for this, but they can't just be what you're laying on, if that makes any sense. Let's do one more. They have to feel a sense of connection to the ribs on the top. And that same leg then, I'm going to leave it at hip height, still having this bottom leg for support. I'm going to flex my ankle, and I'm going to make little circles today. So little circles, reverse, yeah, with still this sense of connection between my ribs. If I'm just laying on my ribs without any support from my abdomen, this exercise could end up bothering your hip. So circling in both directions, stacking the legs, lowering my head, and I'm going to use my hands now to press myself up for another side lying exercise that's not necessarily in the original mat work, but it's lateral flexion, and that's a good thing. So I'm sitting in what in Pilates we call a Z-sit. I'm pressing my whole foot, primarily the metatarsal and the heel, gently into the thigh of this leg, and that leg is responding with a counter push. So I'm going to hold on here to my outside of my shin and take this arm up, feeling like I have both of my sitting bones on the floor. I'm going to lift my chest and rotate to the flex to the side, no rotation. Come back up. Inhale. Exhale up to go over. Exhale up to go over. Try not to rotate when you do that. We do that sometimes for a stretch, but just look for the side bend. And continue to hold on to the hand that's on your leg. I'm going to bring this arm down. I can rest on my forearm to do a counter stretch where I'm really lifting my ribs up to reach. And I'll use this bottom arm to come up. We're going to do that one more time. Up to go over and back. Inhale. Up to go over and come back. Last one. And we're doing this because I'm going to show you another way to do that counter stretch. As you get stronger, draw your shoulder to be connected so you're resting on a long arm this time. If it bothers your neck, glance towards the floor. Lifting up. Knees together, flip over, and we do the other side. So I'm stretching out. I started with my head down. I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult for myself, and I'm going to pick my head up. This is a support hand, supporting the bottom leg. Otherwise, it's long and you're standing on your toes. Yeah, but here we are at hip height, flex foot. I'm trying to get my toes to come to my nose. Oh, good luck. Inhale, exhale. Again, you don't have to do the pulses, right? But you should not be twisting your body like this and like that. That's not happening. You're responsible for keeping your shoulders in line with your hips. And all that comes from your abdomen and the connection this leg has to the floor. And if your head is down, using that also as another support, your arm, bottom arm. So either way, yeah, kick forward, sweep around to the back. Let's do one more. Side kick. And if I stay there, your head can stay down, leg at hip height, small external rotation. This time I'm going to flex up and point down. So as the leg goes up, I feel the ribs pressing more into the floor. I'm going to try to ever so softly just hold them together. Yes, they're touching the floor, but I'm not letting them spring up and down. Inhale up, exhale down. Same leg, parallel to the floor this time. And from my heel, I'm going to draw little circles. Circle, 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 circle. In each direction twice. Lower my head, stack my legs, press up to sit in the Z, connecting, holding, lifting, trying to get this other sitting bone down to the floor, up to go over, and then back to where I started, that vertical position. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, over. Bring it back. One more. We're going to do 2 sets of this today. The first and fundamental way to counter stretch is to bring that whole forearm to the floor. It's very stable, not rotating. Up. 3 more. Up to go over and back. Up to side bend and back. Last one before I add on to this degree of difficulty. Hand is down and long, shoulder connected from the bottom of my armpit. All of this is reaching down towards my waist as I counter stretch. And then use that bottom hand to help you press up. We're ready for teaser. So teaser from the beginning. One leg stays bent, foot connected to the floor. Other leg comes up. I roll back. I pull myself up. I roll back and pull myself up. So if you're good at that, try it from here. Ooh, it's a whole other story. Yeah, rolling back. Make sure your waist lands. Come back up. That's one way. That's a prep. So second way could be to roll down onto your back and establish. Well, let's put the legs in tabletop. Let's say that. Keep the pelvis connected to the floor. Arms are wide out, palms are up. We exhale to prepare and inhale to lift. So I'm gathering myself from my arms a little bit, right? I used some momentum there. Drop your shoulders, let them be wide. Some people call this a V-sit. It's the teaser. And I'm going to roll down. You can hold on to the back here, right? As I roll down with control from the abs and bring the legs back to tabletop. Again, in this position. Inhale to scoop everything up and reach. Arms and legs should be in parallel lines to each other. And then roll down in a manner that's safe for you. And we finish with this section of teaser, the true, actual repertoire teaser. Heels are together. I'm wrapping outwardly here for strength in my legs. Arms are out to the sides, palms are up. Exhale to prepare. Inhale to lift from the floor. Yeah. And here I am balanced on my sacrum. And roll down safely. Now, if you can lower your upper body, your legs down at the same time, that's really good. That would put me at the chiropractor today. So I don't ever do that one. Take it. Exhale here. Inhale to lift up. And then I'm going to roll down. I'm making sure that I'm safe. Hip circle would be next, but that's a really advanced exercise. So unfortunately for us, I shouldn't say that, we're going to go to swimming. So turn back over onto your tummy. Fundamental prep for swimming. Yeah, we're going to start on your belly again. There's that prone position that I think is so important in our lives. And I'm stretching through the waist. The bottom part of my body goes this way in that stretch. The upper part of my body goes that way to a stretch. And I have arms and legs separated so that if I were to look at myself from above, I would be in an X position. So I'm going to think about the center of my body and lift my one leg from the hip, put it down, lift the opposite diagonal arm from the shoulder on the back, put it down, go to the other leg, lift it up from the glutes and the hip, put it down, diagonal arm, same from the back, and then I can add opposite arm leg hover, right, from a stable center where the arms and legs take turns lifting in a diagonal way, and I can always then walk those together, lift them off the floor. Don't do this if you're new, yeah, just be sure you know where you are. And I'm swimming, I'm resting them down. I'm going to take a child's pose here. You have to be kind to old backs. So swimming would be there. Leg pull front and back would be next. We're not doing that because that's a more difficult exercise. And we're going to go to side bend prep for side lift. So side lift is definitely a difficult exercise. It is more advanced, but we can start in a place where we're successful. So I'm going to put my forearm down on the floor. And I have to have the shoulder stabilized into the back. So if I end up like this, I'm just laying in that joint. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to press down on this arm. I'm going to have my palm down. I'm going to think about pressing ring finger and pinky finger a little bit more into the floor so I can activate these muscles under my armpits. And I can hold those muscles to my waist. And then my legs are crossed, stacked on top of one another. Well, they're crossed at the feet. The heel of the top leg is resting in the crux of the ankle of the other leg. So make sure you have that. And my knees are close. Fundamental movement is just pick up the hips. Shoulder stable. It's not sticking out there somewhere. And I've lifted my hips to begin to develop strength in the hips. That may be all you do today. Lowering down. So if that was pretty easy for you, you could stretch your legs out a little bit, still keeping the feet one in front of the other. I press up, the legs become long, top leg becomes long, but I kept my bottom leg from the knee to the foot on the floor. Yeah, because that's more stable. This arm feels light, this leg feels pretty light because the work isn't being done there. And then I'm going to lower down. So that's the next step. If you're past that, stack your feet, lift up to long legs. You'll notice your shoulder has to work harder. Yeah. Oh, I could feel that shoulder going. Oh, I better get connected to the body. Yeah. So you're in a side plank on your forearm. All right. Let's go to the other side. Side bend. Prep for side lift. So I'm starting at the beginning, lifting my hips, gathering my ribs, holding my tummy, hip lift, hip strengthening. Lower down. Legs a little bit longer, feet still one in front of the other. Pressing up, knee to foot on the bottom leg stays on the floor because I'm learning how to progress safely. That's what that's about. And then I can lower that down. You stop where you feel like you're good, right? Don't keep going just because you see me going. Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to stack my feet. I'm really going to challenge here. And I'm going to press up to both legs on top of each other in a side plank. Lots of extra work for the shoulder. And I'm in a side plank. This shouldn't sag, right? And then lower down. So I'm going to demonstrate the whole side lift on my side that does it best and hope for success. Yeah, if I fall down, it won't be the first time. So I'm actually going to start kind of scrunched up with a long arm because I'm going to shoot myself in the diagonal direction. And I have to have some spring to go there. So I'm like a spring that's coiled up. This arm is out, shoulder is super tight. I'm going to move on the diagonal line, right? My feet are doing a lot of work. Here's my side plank. I'm going to lift up from the pelvis. There's not a lot there for me into the side bend. Yeah. Side lift, it's called technically. And as I lower down, I want to come to the calf, the knee, the shin, the thigh, and then I have palm up and I'm looking, after which I would do that again. Not doing that again. All right, so we're almost done. So that was side lift with some beginning variations, and we're ready to finish with our seal. So seal is another rolling exercise. It's a cousin to rolling like a ball. If you can't do the seal, just roll like a ball. So I roll myself back onto my sacrum, and I'm going to bring my hands inside my knees and then wrap them around the outside of my ankles. If you're able, bring the soles of your feet together. Now, this is about your belly, so pull the belly in and squeeze your arms into your legs and your legs into your arms, like it's a vice grip, yeah? And then clap, clap, clap the feet. Inhale, roll back. Exhale, come up. Clap, clap, clap. Pause when you're back there. Clap the feet. It's a little suspension up in the air. Clap, clap. Come up. 1 or 2 claps if you can't get all 3. Try not to roll on your head like I just did. Up. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Oops, I had to do one more because I couldn't get forward all the way down to the floor. Bring your feet to the floor. Bring your sitting bones towards, bring your heels towards your sitting bones. That'd be a little easier. And then hang out there in a stretch for your inner thighs. Again, the flexion you have in your knees depends on how close you can get your heels to your sitting bones. If that's not a good position for you, you can be a little bit further away and you can do the same thing, right? So just a little stretch here. We're going to do one more thing before we finish. So I'm going to spin around. And as we started standing, the real true repertoire ends standing. So we're going to try a plank, just a plank, nothing fancy. We'll try it from several positions. So you're working your way into strength. The first is to come onto your forearms, curl your toes, and stretch your legs. Take your sternum and stretch through over your hands. If it goes there, it's not, trust me. And you're just there for your plank. No sagging in the middle. You can do it with your knees down, right? So be good to yourself and figure out which way that works for you. That's one. Then we go to full plank. So I'm going to walk my hands out. I'm going to curl my toes and lift my pelvis. I'm going to extend my spine so that my sternum is reaching past my hands. It's trying. The whole body is working. The entire body is working. Heels together, if you're there, and can be, is more powerful, but it may not be right for you. And then I'm going to put my knees down, and I'm going to walk my hands back and come up to where we started. Yeah. In that round ball, standing on the floor on your feet. Yep. And then I'm going to press the feet down because I've rooted them into the floor. I'm going to lift all the way up. I'm going to lift my arms up. I'm going to gather up all the space in the room on that big inhale. Allow my arms to float gently to the sides. One more like that. Inhale up. Lift the chest. Keep lifting. You're allowed to bring your shoulders to your ears this time. And then all at once, just let it all go for a big release. And then we're finished. Thanks for joining me. It was a lot of fun. Take care.